On the 24th of December 1999, an Indian Airlines flight number IC814 was 5 Pakistani terrorists hijacked the plane shortly after it entered Indian airspace.
This is your captain speaking. I regret to inform you कि ये plane hijack हो चुका है. Please trust me. I'm trying everything possible to make sure that we all reach home safely.
The message came from the cockpit of Indian Airlines Flight IC814. At exactly 4 p.m. on December 24th, 1999, Indian Airlines Flight IC814 lifted off from Tribhuvan International Airport in Kathmandu, Nepal. The Airbus A300 had taken off from Nepal with 178 passengers and crew. It was supposed to be a routine 90-minute flight. Holiday travelers, families, honeymooners, all heading home for the holidays. The new millennium was just days away. Spirits were high. No one expected that in a matter of minutes, a hijacking would plunge them into darkness, both literally and metaphorically. In the cockpit sat Captain Devi Sharan, a seasoned pilot. Beside him, First Officer Rajendra Kumar and Flight Engineer Anil Kumar Jaggia. They had done this route dozens of times before. It was supposed to be uneventful. But among the passengers were 5 men with sinister intent. They passed through security at Kathmandu's Tribhuvan International Airport, carrying bags filled with weapons. The security staff barely gave them a glance. Why? Because India's most wanted man, Dawood Ibrahim, had made sure they wouldn't be stopped. One phone call, one bribe, no questions asked. Weeks earlier, Indian intelligence operatives in Nepal had intercepted chatter, a plot to hijack an Indian aircraft. The Research and Analysis Wing, RAW, was informed. Shashi Bhushan Tomar, a senior RAW officer in Kathmandu, dismissed the intel as a hoax. That mistake would haunt India for years. As the flight climbed to cruising altitude, flight attendants began serving refreshments. It was the hijackers' cue. Suddenly, a man in business class pulled a ski mask over his face and grabbed senior flight attendant Anil Sharma. "I have a bomb," he whispered. All around the cabin, his accomplices pulled out knives, pistols, and grenades. Passengers screamed, children cried, chaos erupted. The 5 hijackers called each other by code names: Chief, Doctor, Burger, Shankar, and Bhola. Chief forced Sharma to lead him to the cockpit, gun in hand. This was before reinforced cockpit doors were standard. The hijackers stormed in, ordered the pilots to turn the aircraft west toward Pakistan, and threatened to start executing passengers if they didn't comply. Captain Sharan tried to stall. He claimed they lacked the fuel to reach Lahore. The hijackers, well prepared, knew that was a lie. Lahore was closer than Mumbai, the supposed alternate airport. They forced the crew to comply. Still, the captain tried to fight back, silently. He discreetly changed the aircraft's transponder to 7500, the emergency code for hijacking. It was 4:40 p.m. In New Delhi. Air traffic controllers saw the code, a hijack. But confusion reigned. The government's crisis management group took nearly an hour to assemble. Neither RAW nor the Intelligence Bureau was immediately alerted. The flight crew had to fend for themselves. Captain Sharan slowed the plane by 40%, trying to stay in Indian airspace. The longer he stayed in Indian skies, the better the chance for a rescue. But as the plane neared the border, the hijackers grew agitated. Pakistani air traffic control saw the squawked hijack code and denied landing rights. They closed the Lahore Seat airspace, turned off runway lights and nav aids, and warned that the plane would be shot down if it crossed into their skies. The captain pleaded with Amritsar ATC. "We have only 1 hour of fuel. Lahore won't let us in. Please advise." But Amritsar had no crisis training. There were no clear directives from Delhi. Silence. Inside the plane, the hijackers separated passengers by gender. Women and children were moved to the rear. Men were moved forward. Fear filled every seat. Desperate, Captain Sharon told the hijackers they had only two options: land in Amritsar or crash. They agreed. The aircraft landed at 6:44 p.m. This was India's best shot. NSG commandos in Delhi were still being held back. Local officials were ordered to delay refueling and stall the plane. A fuel truck carrying Punjab police commandos was sent toward the aircraft. But it moved too fast, raising suspicion. Controllers ordered it to stop. The driver slammed on the brakes in the middle of the runway. The hijackers panicked. Believing a strike was imminent, they ordered takeoff. Captain Sharon refused. In retaliation, one hijacker, Doctor, entered business class and stabbed 25-year-old Rupin Katyal, returning from his honeymoon. In the cockpit, Chief began a countdown. If the plane didn't take off by 10, more would die. 1, 2, 3. Captain Sharan radioed ATC. "We are all dying. We are going to Lahore." The plane lifted off. Moments later, NSG commandos finally arrived. Too late. In seat 16C sat RAW officer Shashi Bhushan Tomar, the very man who dismissed the hijack warning. He was also the PM's secretary's brother-in-law. It's alleged that delays in approving a rescue were tied to keeping him safe. In the skies, the plane crossed into Pakistan. Lahore's airspace was still closed. Pakistan threatened to shoot the plane down, but fuel was almost gone. Captain Sharan spotted a row of lights and began to descend. They were about to land on a highway. Only then did Pakistan relent. Lights were switched back on. Navigation aids were restored. At 8 p.m., IC814 landed in Lahore. The crew requested medical help and permission to offload women and children. Pakistan refused. "We'll give you fuel, that's all," they said. They wanted the plane gone. With tanks full, the plane took off again. The next destination, Dubai. The UAE initially denied entry, but at 3 a.m., it permitted a landing at Al Minhad Air Base. No military action was allowed, but 27 passengers were released. Rupin Katyal's lifeless body was offloaded. His wife Rakhna, still on board, had no idea he was gone. The plane flew once more. Destination, Kandahar, Afghanistan, then under Taliban control. Taliban fighters surrounded the aircraft with tanks and guns. They claimed to be protecting hostages. India believed they were helping the hijackers. Conditions on board worsened, food ran out, toilets overflowed. The windows were shuttered. Passengers sat in suffocating darkness, unaware of what day it was or if they'd live to see another. Back in India, outrage grew. Families stormed press conferences. They begged the government to negotiate. Prime Minister Vajpayee initially resisted, stating that India wouldn't bow to terrorism. But pressure built. A negotiation team, including External Affairs Minister Jaswant Singh, was dispatched. On board the government jet were elite commandos hidden below deck, ready to strike if the opportunity arose. But as soon as the aircraft arrived in Kandahar, the Taliban surrounded it, weapons raised. A strike was impossible. India began talks. Saeed Sheikh, a British-born extremist, jailed for kidnapping foreigners. Mushtaq Ahmed Zargar, commander of Al-Umar Mujahideen, imprisoned since 1992. India had no good choices. On December 31st, 1999, the three terrorists were handed over in Kandahar. Jaswant Singh flew with them himself. The passengers were released. The hijackers were not arrested. Escorted by the Taliban to the Pakistani border, they vanished. What followed would haunt the world. Maulana Masood Azhar founded Jaish-e-Mohammed, the group behind the 2001 Indian Parliament attack that killed 7 and wounded 18, and the 2019 Pulwama suicide bombing that killed 44 RPF Jawans. He still lives freely in Pakistan. Omar Sheikh was arrested for the 2002 beheading of journalist Daniel Pearl. He also helped fund the 9/11 attackers. He remains imprisoned in Pakistan. Zargar continues training terrorists. He too lives free. As for the hijackers, their names were later identified, but justice never came. The hijacked aircraft was retired from service in 2001. The scars left behind, emotional, political, and strategic, remain. Flight IC814 wasn't just a hijacking, it was a turning point. A moment when India's vulnerabilities were laid bare and the cost of inaction became painfully clear. The story of IC814 didn't end on the runway in Kandahar. It echoes still in the streets of Pulwama, the halls of the Indian Parliament, and the skyline of New York City.